Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the L.U. Chopard 1937 chronometer. 42 millimeters in brushed and polished stainless steel. You can see this Chopard on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there if you like. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now you can see on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The L.U. Chopard 1937 is definitely a bigger, bolder, modern take on the dress watch. It's not quite oversized in the sports watch sense, but at 42 versus the men's traditional 34, 35, 36, you could definitely say that this is a fresh take on the men's formal watch. But at only 11.5 millimeters thick with a generously sloped bezel and a nice little bezel step built in. This one will easily fit under French cuffs, any kind of a tight button sleeve. It's a very versatile watch aesthetically, but in terms of its accessory compatibility, it's also very much a star. I want to emphasize that 51 millimeters from extremity of lug to extremity of lug means that this has a full wrist presence no matter how large your wrist. But you might be asking, what if my wrist is smaller than 16 centimeters? Well, I can tell you that because of the powerful and pronounced downward thrust of these lugs, which are also very close coupled to the flanks of the case, they're not just handsome, they're ergonomically excellent, allowing the strap to bend down around a very tightly curved smaller wrist with ease. There's absolutely no rigidity here, and because the strap itself has wonderful inherent flexibility and souplesse, you can easily get that bend down and around a tighter, smaller wrist. I also want to emphasize that Chopard uses superior materials in the manufacture of its straps. You can see rectangular scale black alligator with a monotone stitch on the top. It's a round, contrasting brown scale alligator on the bottom. Now this is unique. It's something only a couple of companies do, and Chopard's L.U.C line uses it more than anyone else in the industry. They're in good company, as F.P. Journe does the same. But you'll notice that not only is the strap beautiful, and not only does it have the durability of gator on both sides, but it is nice and supple with good inherent flexibility. This is one that has a decent amount of shoulder and side profile, but nevertheless bends down easily, sort of forming a complementary effect along with the short and downward thrusting lugs. And you get the versatility of a traditional pin buckle, not just beautifully finished, entirely polished, chamfered, and brushed, but you can see that it's also self-consciously styled. There's a great deal of contouring going on here, as well as little thoughtful details like the L.U.C emblem that show you Chopard has left nothing to chance. There is no default design. Attention to detail rules the entire L.U.C line. And on the 1937, originally introduced for the 150th anniversary of Chopard in 2010, this is the 2011 model, 2011 on. There's a gorgeous contrasting brushed and polished pattern to the lugs, the case flank, and the bezel, but what sets this one apart is that it is a vertical grain. Now, conventionally brushed flanks and brushed lug flanks use a longitudinal brushing that emphasizes the span of the watch. This one has an upward graining. It's directional. It almost creates a vaulted look to these gorgeous lugs, which don't just thrust down, they also flare up, and you'll notice that the hoods of the lugs actually run above the belt line of the flank of the case to create that vaulted, arcing, almost flying buttress-like aesthetic. Beautifully polished on their tops, they match a beautifully polished bezel that, as I mentioned earlier, has an elegant little step to it, adding just a bit of a character line around the circumference. But Chopard pares down the actual size of the bezel to emphasize the dial, which is a combination of classical and modern elements. Now you can see a traditional classical style railroad seconds and minutes track around the external circumference of the dial, but moving inboard, you can see underneath these high quality, polished, hand applied Roman numerals is a sunburst pattern of a different breed. It radiates out from the L.U.C marquee at 12 rather than the hands at center. Center radial is the convention for a sunburst dial. Chopard wants the point of light, the so-called sun in the sky, to actually be the Chopard marquee, glorifying the name and placing emphasis on the importance of the L.U. Chopard line within the Chopard catalog. Now the hands, also inventive, are what Chopard calls Dauphine fusion. So they have a little step within them that emphasizes the thrust of the fully loomed hand. And these hands are gorgeous, projecting outboard almost to the the hour track, I should say, and then fully superimposed over the minute track for easy reading. Now, it is a COSC-certified chronometer, so in addition to being an extremely precise timepiece in its own right, you can pull the crown, hack the caliber 1010 movement and precisely synchronize to a reference time. It also has a quick set for the date, and I want to emphasize that beautifully engineered, it's also beautifully finished. Now the caliber 1010 that you see right here is a 60-hour power reserve, modern in-house Chopard automatic winding movement. The rotor, fully skeletonized so as not to obscure the best of the works, features ceramic bearings unlubricated of exceptional efficiency at center. The 31 jewel caliber, again, because it is under 5 millimeters thick, allows this watch to maintain a superb low profile on the wrist while still featuring fine finish, gorgeous Cote de Genève dressage pattern on the main plate around the periphery. You can see there are wonderful polished screw heads rather than blued, and I'll even say that the anglage on the bridge work around the watch is some of the best I've seen short of Geneva seal quality. Chopard, especially the L.U. Chopard line, is really knocking on the door of the big three. The Audemars, the Patek, the Vacheron, they're definitely there, and they're there now. And I can't think of a better example of that than the L.U. Chopard 1937. 42 millimeters in stainless steel. You can see it, and you can buy it on our website, watchyouwant.com.